In-session postseason continues, and our next stop is Dalton and Catamounts soccer. We catch up with head coach Matt Cheaves. Coach, thanks for hanging out with us in the offseason to let everybody know what happened last season.
Very good. Glad to be on here. Thank you.
All right, so let me ask you this. We all know what it means to get to the last game of the year. I know the expectation is always there for you to win the last game of the year. How difficult is it to continue this standard that you have set to want to win the last game of the year, get there, be recognized nationally? How tough is it right now to be Dalton soccer?
Well, we hold a high standard, and it can be tough on ourselves, but I don't know. I don't think we really think of it that way. It's just kind of a game by game process. Um, and then also our local competition is strong. In their classes, they seem to be finishing at the top, and nobody wants to come in second or finish behind the other guys up here.
So, for those that have never had the chance to go up to Northwest Georgia and see what goes on among the directional Whitfields and you and now Christian Heritage that's a part of the discussion, what is that footprint like as a soccer hotbed?
Well, I'm just glad to see it for one thing. When I was young, started coaching, or even younger, playing soccer, there wasn't a lot of soccer around, and not very many people paid attention to high school soccer. There wasn't even much TV soccer on TV, and it's just come a long way. So I'm really glad to see it. There's a lot of interest. Everybody's excited about it. But on top of that, the kids up here are playing some great soccer. So it makes me really happy to see how far the game has come, especially at the high school level.
And I was going to say that it's come a very long way, even in a very short period of time. I mean, if you go back, say, even 5 years or so, I think that there's been a big upgrade in the standard of play, the interest in play, and just all of the heavyweights that are up there in Northwest Georgia, with yourselves being right there at the beginning of the line.
Yeah, definitely. There has been a surge lately. There's just so many young, good players coming up into the high schools, and I don't know. This people say, you shake a tree and soccer players fall out. There's a lot of good soccer going on up here in North Georgia.
When you look back at this past season, what were some of the lessons that you can carry with you into next season and beyond? What were some of the learning points that you got to have as a coach this season, even as you won a championship?
Well, there were a lot of learning points. I think a lot of them have just been reiterated for us. But one thing is to just try to learn the lesson that's taught to you every game. You never know what's going to happen, and some things are out of your control. And sometimes you just have to learn to deal with those things and progress, and not let them weigh you down or consider yourself a victim. Oh, we didn't get this call or we didn't get that call. Things didn't go our way. So to realize things are not always going to go your way. And if you want to be successful, sometimes you just got to figure out how not to let outside factors take over.
How difficult is that to teach 15 to 18-year-olds that kind of a lesson?
It can be difficult, but when they get to experience it once or twice during a season, the next time they see it, they begin to pick up on it. And the guys that I'm coaching, they really take their game serious. They want to get better, they want to improve, and they want to win. So they pay attention to what's going on, and they do try to pick up on what they can do, whatever they can do to try to step forward, because it is very competitive and they want to be the best. So they're looking for anything they can to make them a stronger player.
Yeah, we had the Macintosh game on the SDH network earlier this year.
Right.
And what I wanted to ask with that is, how difficult is it for you to schedule matches against competition? Because I'm sure that region, everybody knows, okay, yeah, we know we have to play these teams. How difficult is it for you to stack a non-region schedule knowing what everybody else knows about Dalton soccer?
I don't know. That's our plan. We want to stack our schedule. It's always been our philosophy to want to play the best, beat the best, to be the best. So we want to take on the best teams that we can play. And our motto this year was welcome the beast. A lot of people associated the beast as the catamount, but it wasn't. The beast is whenever it's hard. Whenever it's hard, you welcome that feeling, whether it be at practice and training or in competition or just a difficult situation. And how you take your attitude and embrace that beast that showed up is going to make you improve. So our motto was welcome the beast. Whenever it was difficult, we knew no matter what happened, we were going to come out of it stronger if we approached it with the right attitude.
What was the hardest time that the beast came knocking on the door for you where you answered the way that you wanted to?
I think it was the game against Johnson. There were some things that went on in that game that, if you watch the video, you see that there were some mistakes made, and those affected the outcome of the game. And for us, we had to sit back and say, okay, that shouldn't have turned that way. Should have gone the other way. But in fact, we had to go back and say, all right, let's don't consider ourselves a victim. Let's look at how we can, next time we are in the situation, we make sure we don't end up losing.
And we were there for that one as well. So we got to see you a couple of different times during our regular season.
Uh-huh.
What's it like when you mentioned the beast? What's it like when you see your student athletes stare the beast right in the eye, and the first time that they stare him in the eye, it might not be the result that you were hoping for, but they grow from that, and then the next time the beast comes up, they answer the bell and they respond the way that you were looking for? What's it like for you as a coach to see them stare the beast in the eye more than once, maybe learn lessons from the first time, but then come through on the second time or any subsequent?
Oh, well, for me, it's great. That's what I want to see them do. I want to see them learn lessons, do anything they can do to make themselves better, both as a soccer player, but also as a person, so that they'll have better opportunities down the road.
Matt Cheaves, head coach of Dalton, Catamounts soccer on the boys' side, hanging out with us here in session postseason, brought to us by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Kaiser Permanente, thrive. Now, speaking of thriving when it comes to Dalton soccer and what we've been able to see with you and your tenure and there in Dalton, sometimes thriving comes from surprises. And was there anything that was a pleasant surprise this season when it comes to what was going on? Was it a player that developed maybe faster than you were looking? Was it a player that truly took that next step? Was it the player staring the beast in the eye and coming out the other side? Was there anything that surprised you in a positive this year about this team?
There are a couple of things. The main thing that sticks out is in the end, our goalkeeper, who'd started all season, was red carded against Chambly in the quarterfinals. So our number 2 guy, who really hadn't had much varsity experience, had to step up and play. And he got thrown into the Chambly game, facing a penalty kick as we went a man down. So that was a pretty tough spot, for him to be in. But then the next game was a semifinal, and he did a good job. He made a couple of good saves, and then right at the very end, he stopped a penalty kick. And that really gave him some confidence moving forward. So he'd been in a tough spot, experienced, and then we go into the state championship, and Midtown gave us everything we could ask for as far as competition. I mean, they were excellent, and especially early in the game, they came at us 3 or 4 times with some pretty tough attacks. And our goalkeeper, Andre Meza, he made a couple of just instinctual moves, made some great saves that kept us in the game early. And the longer that game progressed, we felt like the better our chances.
I mean, in a season where you finished 20-2, if memory serves, you only gave up 18 goals the entire year. That should speak out, I think, not just to the folks between the sticks, but to your defense as well. What was it like to see your defense respond the way that they did against the competition you had last year?
Yeah, I think our defense did outstanding this year, and we gave up 18 goals. We gave up 4 to McIntosh and 4 to Baylor. So the 8 of them came out of 2 games. But the defense was very young this year, and they did great. They really, really played excellent.
What's it like having a young defense getting ready for them to, if they're a freshman, I know that they're playing more like a sophomore at the end of the year, sophomores playing more like juniors. What's it like to have those younger players responding and having them in the pipeline for the next couple of seasons?
Oh, it's great to know that your defense is very much in place for the next year. You never know what can happen in the offseason, or somebody could end up injured. But having those guys who are in place and they're experienced, they played the toughest competition we could find. They played for a state championship. They've been in some battles, and it's just a good feeling to know that those guys are set up.
If you were king for a day, if you were the king of everything in the sport of soccer, and this can apply to the high school level, it can apply to whatever aspect of the game that you want. If you're king for a day, if there was one thing that you could change, what do you think it would be?
Without a doubt, I would take away any strategy that involves parking the bus. I would get that would be thrown out the window, and it would be mandated that they have to play a more attacking, attractive, risky style of soccer than parking the bus.
What is it, for, and I know a lot of folks will sit there and understand that for a level of competition, if you know you're going in, it's going to be an uphill battle, that you know that it's going to be a tough one for you, so you're kind of predisposed to want to do something like that. How would you encourage those teams that would be predisposed to, say, parking the bus? How would you, if you could, talk to those coaches and those players, how would you encourage them not to park the bus as a philosophy going into a particular match? If you if you if you were to coach a team, if you were to walk up to a team that is coming into a match, and I know that this is counter to who you are and what you do, but if there was a team just kind of off to the side, Cheaves FC, if Cheaves FC off to the right, off camera, was going to be predisposed to parking the bus in a match, what would your talk to be if you wandered up to them and said, okay, here's why you shouldn't park the bus as a philosophy? What would you tell folks that might have that as a mindset?
I would have to convince them that they're better than that they are better at soccer than that they're better athletes to go out and challenge somebody. Go man on man, step up and take them on, challenge them, and get everybody on the team to buy into that. And if you can fulfill that role, then go out there and put the pressure on them and flip the script on them.
How many teams these days still do that coming into a match? How prevalent is on the high school level in your mind that kind of a philosophy going into matches?
I don't see it as much as we did for a while. For a little while, we would see that pretty common, but not so much anymore. Maybe only a couple of times a season, or maybe if it's a very significant mismatch, you'll see it. And maybe sometimes that's not even what we're seeing. We're just seeing somebody trying to survive in that situation. But as a plan, I don't see it very much.
What's it been like for you to see the sport grow the way that it has here in the state of Georgia, where we have, you look at the state champs. Yes, you have the influence in the Atlanta area on the boys and girls side in the higher classifications. But I have someone who is just as forceful when it comes to security. I know exactly what's going on. You've got Coach Zamora and Johnson Gainesville, and this is outside the city. You've got Coahulla Creek that's a part of the discussion now. You've got Oconee County that's a part of the discussion now. Tattnall County in South Georgia. Armurchie made a big run. Fitzgerald made a big run. The Mountain Region's doing pretty well, making deep runs. Christian Heritage comes away with a title. What's it like for you to see all of these different pockets that are non-traditional areas? And yeah, I just did use air quotes for those just listening to it. What's it like to see these non-traditional areas advance to where the game is now pretty much a statewide thing where you're seeing success?
I think it's great to see it that far outside of Metro Atlanta. When I started coaching, it was 94, 95. There was very little success in soccer outside of Metro Atlanta. And even then, you wouldn't see people who knew how to play soccer on the soccer team. You see kids come out and they really did not know what they were doing. Now you can go to just about any high school and you find kids who know how to address a soccer ball. They know how to control it. They understand the game. They understand the rules. And it wasn't that way 30 years ago at all. So to me, it is great. One of the reasons I wanted to coach soccer was to promote it and push it and see the sport grow. And it grew way beyond what I thought it could grow in this amount of time.
So what other promotion needs to happen, whether it's on the high school level, as you and I are talking here? What does it need to take that next step, you think?
Yeah, well, I'm familiar with the high school game, and what I want to see happen there is the fan base grow significantly in the stadiums, that games have a much larger crowd. In Dalton, we get a very good crowd. We make a very good gate, and that makes a big difference in your athletic program and the things that you can do for your team. And I love the sport of football. Played that growing up a little bit too. But Friday night football is huge. I want to see soccer do the same thing, and there's no reason why it can't. Friday nights in the spring, people pack the stadiums, people tailgate. And there are some schools in some areas that do it very well. I would like to see that be more widespread.
And you are not alone in that. Coach, as always, it's great to catch up with you and find out what's going on up there in Dalton. How close are you to finishing your schedule up for next year?
I'm very close. I've got a couple openings that I could work out at the right time, and kind of looking for a specific type of opponent to fill those spots too.
And when that schedule comes out, we're going to find out what that specific opponent is. Really looking forward to it. Matt Cheaves, the head coach of Dalton Catamount boys soccer. Another successful year, another title wrapping up at 20-2. Coach, thanks for hanging out with us here for the postseason version of In Session. We'll keep an eye on you and catch up soon.
All right. Thank you for having me on here. I appreciate it.